Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about being political. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, would you say that being political is one of the prerequisites for being a successful manager in large software engineering organizations? It depends on at what level you're talking, because there's different companies and different levels, and I can't really tell you all that much about, because being political is a difficult thing for me to define what that actually means. But I can give you what I found at the very least to be fairly true, and that is that you usually have two types of like general archetypes of people who do really well in large IT organizations. You have the people who have a like basically a non-technical background. You have the soft skills people who are usually really good at uh, going to the right meetings, being associated with the right projects, and being present within the sphere of the people that have influence, if that makes sense. In other words, they are very much seen and very much in contact with the people who usually have more power, higher, they are higher up the food chain, etc., etc. The other type that usually do really, really well are the ones that are very dependable. And what I mean by dependable, it basically means that they will produce the results necessary. They will meet the expectations and so forth and so forth. These two types are the main things that build trust. And that is the key element to doing well as a manager in a large software organization. You basically have to, it's very similar to how it works with us software developers. You have to build up trust with the people who are higher up the food chain, if that makes sense. That's the thing that usually gets you to where you need to be. And then, of course, as I said, exposure is a factor. Because if you can be very trustworthy, but if nobody knows the great work that you're doing, you're not really going to make it so far, if that makes sense. And so if you look at, say, my career, that has been going on in a few in companies such as that, for example, where it was a very, very big company. It's not that difficult to climb the ranks, really, once you get that combination of, as I said, like you are dependable and you know how to be present to build that how to do the soft part of everything. And the soft part is a very important factor that especially the software developers who want to climb don't really understand, that once you know how to do all the coding, you know how to, say, run a team, etc., etc., the rest of it is pretty much to connect with people and building a professional network. Not a professional network, with recruiters, but a professional network within the organization. Because especially in the larger organizations, guys, you can almost think of it a little bit as having your own, like when you're a manager for a department, you're almost a little bit of a manager for your own company within another company. And so it's important for you to touch base with the people around you and sort of be a good neighbor to the people around you and have a general good reputation within the organization, because that is something that leads to more connections and your name being mentioned more and more, and that's the thing that usually brings up you within the organization. So an example for me where I've been in this situation is where I had a personal connection with one of the managers within the organization, and I started out as a software developer. Within 3 months, I was promoted to tech lead for like a new initiative that they had, where they basically, they gave me ownership of a team and a product and some resources that weren't doing all that well. I turned that into a fairly successful project, and the overall way I showed that I could be basically depended on for things that are, let's say, not something that they could solve with by just hiring anybody or like getting consultants or something like that. That went really well, but I also had a good reputation when all was said and done, which now led to the next thing where they realize that, oh, okay, so Frederick is making friends with all the people that used to not really like this team all that much, but he's also delivering on the deadlines and all of that stuff. That's really good. This is a person that, as I said, we can trust that this person will do well when we put him in a situation where he has to take responsibility for something, and where, because that's the big difference, guys, usually between more experienced software developers and like the people who usually, as I call them, code monkeys. Like, one group of people need a direction, and in the higher levels of management, guys, you're not going to be told exactly how to do something. They're basically going to say what they want, and you're going to have to figure out how to give them that. That's the sort of person that usually that's how you build trust higher up in the organization. It's in a sense, the right person for the right job, the right tool, quote unquote, even if we shouldn't think in those terms, of course, for the situation. And managers, especially higher managers, that's a lot of what they have to be really good at, being good judges of character and knowing who to depend on and who not to depend on. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to, are we going to deliver on all our goals? Because they are basically in a position where they just delegate things to other people, so they have to trust the people that they delegate to. A smart manager doesn't just hire people randomly for stuff. They get to know them well enough so they know that they can depend on certain people for certain tasks. After a little while, if I found myself in a situation where my manager wants me to do all the things basically, and I simply can't, because I'm just one person. That's honestly, when you get to that level, because after doing well in that team, like, basically they put me in another team where I have to do the same journey, but that was on top of 3-4 other teams that they want me to sort of take care of. Because when you have that combination of making friends, having the soft skills to understand and connect with people around you that are like adjacent to your sphere of influence, and you know how to deliver and actually bring pretty good results, that is all you need. And I'm not sure if that would be playing politics, because as I like to say to people, talking is great and like promising things and so forth, but it will only get you so far until you actually have to deliver results. And the smart manager, especially in higher management, they will be able to tell what the difference is between a bit dependable person and someone who's just very nice to talk to. So what I want you to take away from this is that I don't necessarily think that you have to be political, depending on how you want to define that, to do well as a manager or as someone who wants to climb the corporate ladder. The thing that I've always found to be most useful is that you are dependable. People can give you a task and can trust that you will do well, or you will figure out how to do this to satisfaction. And you make friends around you. In other words, people think that it's a pleasant time being around you. You can relate to people, you can make them understand your viewpoint, and you generally create a positive atmosphere around you. These things are even true. I mean, guys, this is true for basically everybody, all like from the lowest person in the hierarchy all the way up to, the higher you go. It's always going to be true. And it's just a matter of like what are you good at? Like, can you build that trust, and can you handle the tasks that are increasingly becoming more and more complicated? It's absolutely true that the higher up you go, the more things go from just technical skills to more soft skills. And you will find, as I've said to you guys before, it's not a bad idea for you to get some basic presentation skills, know how to talk, sort of. I mean, do the thing that I do, for example, sit and make YouTube videos. You get comfortable having a presentation or talking to people, and learn some basic slides and like how to present things and so forth, and organizational skills and keeping a calendar and all this sort of stuff. Because the administrative stuff, guys, it becomes more and more important, not just because it's important for you, but it's also important because when you have enough tasks on your head, when you have enough on your plate, people like individual stakeholders around you, they don't know how much you have going on. They just feel like they're being neglected if you don't treat them well, and that can be as easy as you forget all the stuff that you have to do. So by keeping yourself organized, you will build a good relationship with them, and if you still keep your tech skills, you will be dependable, not just with, as I said, the social part, but also with the technical part, and that builds trust with everybody around you. And that is usually something most people recognize. Assuming now that you are in the sphere of the people who are basically in charge. That's one thing, a very important thing as well, because as they say, or the saying goes, a flower that blooms in the deserts wastes its fragrance on nothing, basically. And that can absolutely happen. You can be a really, really good software developer or manager or something like that in the wrong context, and then it doesn't matter so much. So you have to balance this stuff. You have to be close to the people who are in charge, and you have to have an ability to build trust by being dependable, technical in a technical fashion, create results, and you need to be able to create a good atmosphere around you and people feel basically that, well, yeah, Frederick or whoever, it's a really solid person. Always enjoy talking to this individual, and they seem to understand my way of thinking, and we get along really well. Have a great day.